I am to speak tonight on the holiness of God, and I want to read some passages. Exodus 15, who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like unto thee, glorious in holiness? Job 15, behold, he putteth no trust in his saints, yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. Job 25, behold, even to the moon, and it shineth not, yea, the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man that is a worm, and the Son of Man which is a worm. Psalm 22, for thou art holy, O thou that inhabitest the praises of Israel. Proverbs 9:10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Isaiah 6:3, one cried unto another and said, the whole earth is full of His glory. And is His infinitude. I know that intellectually that's the hardest thing to grasp. But you can talk about the infinitude of God and not feel yourself a worm. But when you talk about the holiness of God, you have not only the problem of an intellectual grasp, but you have a sense of personal vileness, which is almost too much to bear. Now, the reason for this is that we are fallen beings. We are fallen spiritually, morally, mentally, and physically. We are fallen in all the ways that men can fall, being what they are. And we're all, and each of us, born into a tainted world. But I would speak of the holiness of God, or of the holy, or of the Holy One. And we cannot comprehend this, and we certainly cannot define it, because holiness means purity, but that isn't enough. Purity merely means that it's unmixed, there's nothing else in it. But that isn't enough. We talk of moral excellency, but that is inadequate, for we say to be morally excellent is to excel somebody else in moral character. But about whom are we speaking? When we say that God is morally excellent, He excels somebody. Who is it that He excels? The angels, the seraphim, I suppose, but that isn't still enough. We mean rectitude, we mean honor, we mean truth and righteousness, and we mean all of these uncreated and eternal. God is not now any holier than He ever was, for He, being unchanging and unchangeable, can never become holier than He is, and He never was holier than He is, and He'll never be any holier than now. And it means self-existent, for He did not get His holiness from anyone, nor from anywhere. He did not go off into some vast, infinitely distant realm and there absorb His holiness, but He is Himself the holiness. He is the holy. He is the all-holy. He is the Holy One. He is holiness itself, beyond the power of thought to grasp or of word to express, beyond the power of all praise.
Cast down my crown to worship You in spirit spirit and truth. As I see you on the throne, I see your train fills the roof. I'm on bended knees, hands extended, closed eyes. Holy, holy, holy is Lord the Most High. Woe is me, I'm a man with unclean lips, and I live amongst a people who's on the same trip. Then the seraph flew to me, with coal in his hands. He touched me on my lips, said I was a brand new man. As the foundation shook, he's asking, who shall I send? I said, send me, Lord, I'll commit to faithful men. Sometimes, Lord, I feel like I don't give you enough, the kind of pure joy to persevere when times get tough. So I keep a heart's devotion that's fixed on you. I keep my eyes on the cross so I can have a right view. I'm in awe of you, how you measure the earth with your hand, and yet still you want to be friends, such an unclean man. So like John, I fall prostrate on this island of life. I worship you, recognizing you in power and might, glory and light, eternal in sight, blameless and right, creator of life, thief in the night, Jesus the Christ.
Take over in the book of Revelation, that 7th chapter. Look, it says that, the 7th chapter, yes, the angels stood around about the throne and about the elders and the 4 beasts, and they fell before the throne on their faces and worshipped God, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and power and might be unto our God forever and ever. And one of the elders answered, saying, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. He said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of God, and serve Him day and night in His temple. And He that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. Now, there is God. There are people in the presence of God, but they're there in the presence of God by not only by a technical redemption. You see, what I worry about in this hour is that we're technically Christians, and we can prove it. We can prove that we're Christians. We're Christians technically. And anybody can flip open a Greek lexicon and show you that you're a saint. But I'm afraid of that kind of Christianity, because if I haven't felt the sense of vileness, by contrast with that sense of unapproachable and indescribable holiness, I wonder if I have ever been hit hard enough to really repent. And if I don't repent, I wonder if I can believe. Now we're told, just believe it, brother, just believe it. Now come on, let me take your name and address. Here, what's your name? Oh yes, what church would you like to go to? Well, we have it all fixed up, my brethren, but I'm afraid our fathers knew God in a different manner than that. Bishop Usher used to go out by the riverbank and kneel down by a log and repent his sins all Saturday afternoon, though there probably wasn't a holier man in all the region round about. He felt how unutterably vile he was. He couldn't stand the dingy gray, which was the whitest thing he had, set over against the unapproachable, shining whiteness that was God. For our God is a consuming fire, and it's written here, holiness without which no man shall see the Lord. Now look at them come. See them as they come from everywhere, these teachers, with their dingy gray interpretations, pulling this down and explaining it away and saying, see note on such and such, pulling it down and destroying it. But it stands, my brother, holiness without which no man shall see the Lord. Now, if you can interpret that neatly and go home without being bothered, I wonder if your eyes have ever gazed upon that awful thing. I wonder if you have or do have the knowledge of the holy. I wonder if that sense of the overwhelming, crushing holiness of God has ever come upon your heart. It was a common thing in other days when God was the center of human worship. When we came to Him and worshiped God, it was common for men to kneel at an altar and shake and tremble and weep and perspire in an agony of conviction. And they expected it in that day. We don't see it now because the God we preach is not the everlasting awful God, mine Holy One, who is of purer eyes than to behold evil and cannot look upon iniquity. And we use the technical interpretation of justification by faith and the imputed righteousness of Christ to water our spirit, the wine of our spirituality down until we're what we are. God help us in this evil hour. And so we take into the presence of God this tainted soul. We come into the presence of God with our concept of morality, having learned it from the books and gotten it from the newspapers and gotten it in school. We come dirty with everything that we have dirty, and our whitest white dirty, and our churches dirty, and our thoughts dirty. We come to God dirty and do nothing about it. If we came to God dirty, but trembling and shocked and awestruck, and would kneel in His presence and at His feet and cry like Isaiah, I am undone, I'm a man of unclean lips, then I'd say, all right, I can understand. But we skip into His awful presence. And somebody who's dirty comes with a book, 7 Steps to Salvation, and gives 7 verses underlined and gets a fellow out of his problem and out of his trouble. Dear God, that's why we're going down each year. More Christians, more people going to church, more Christians, more people going to church, more church buildings, more money, and less spirituality, and less holiness. And we're forgetting that without holiness no man shall see God. I tell you this, standing here tonight, that I want God to be what God is. And I want God to remain what God is, the impeccably holy, unapproachable, holy thing, Holy One, all Holy One. I want Him to be and remain the holy in capital letters. I want Him to be that, and I want His heaven to be holy, and I want His throne to be holy, and I don't want Him to change or modify His requirements. Even if it shuts me out, I want something holy left in the universe.
For lies, you gave us a heart, we fill it with pride. You gave us some eyes, we use it for lust. You made us for one, we're doing too much. Satan's plan was to bring a schism, to bring division between God and us. We want the Lord's position, we hate the architect, we want what you drew up. You give us enough, we want something newer. Despite Adam, you created a plan to bring the holiest of kings through the lineage of man. A flood came just to judge wicked hearts, and there's a second flood, and Jesus is the ark. You can wait around or you can bore now, but when His rain comes down, the world will drown. You're perfect, you're just, you're loving, you're great, and you're holy. What a peace it is to know that God chose me. In the air, I can feel your is everywhere. You care to the grains of my hair. Divine works all around me. I can't get past the evidence. The fact that you're invisible to me is irrelevant. I know he's heaven sent, straight to the virgin birth. Gave me a second chance even after man's curse. A third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. You wore my crown of thorns, you took my legs as they spit in your face. Off the cross, a sinner you embrace. Now I understand what's the meaning of grace. I war against the flesh, can't wait till the day that you come. Cause every day I'm rewriting Psalm 51. From the weak to the dumb, you make us shine like pearls. Got a new engagement, broke up with that girl named World. The relationship wasn't fruitful, we were Satan's pupils. He told us you was an unfair God, we believe those lies. We know the truth now, you've been fair since creation. Man failing and you gave man emancipation. I know the saying, one sin can make man fall, but with one drop of blood, you can save us all. I'm a living sacrifice, I lay my life upon the altar and pray to have faith and I forsake you as a martyr. I have a desire, that's to know you more. I have no choice to live holy, cause I see the Lord.
He's holy, he's holy, he's holy, he's holy, he's holy, he's holy, he's holy. I see the Lord, I see the Lord. He's holy, 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 he's holy. I see the Lord.
And the problem with us is that we let our churches stay dingy gray, instead of pleading for holy whiteness. And as soon as anybody begins to plead, we Christians ought to be holy, somebody comes along and says, now, my brother, don't get excited about this, and don't become a fanatic, for don't you understand that God understands our flesh, and He knows we're but dust. Oh, He knows we're but dust. But He says, thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look upon iniquity. And without holiness it's impossible to please God.